I now call our meeting to order. If you would be so kind to stand for our prayer and our pledge. Thank you.
Let's bow. Father, we thank you for another opportunity to assemble, Father, to do the will and the business, Father, of the city of Chipley, Florida. Father, we thank you that you will look down upon us and bless us with the wisdom, the understanding, the guidance, and the direction. And Father, as we assemble, we ask for divine traveling mercy for member Linda Kane as she go and travel up and down the roads. Bless that family with the strength to endure and to overcome. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item C is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Move second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll move to agenda item number D, which is citizens' request. The city of Chipley welcomes you to this meeting. This is a time set aside for the citizens of Chipley to address the city council. This is not a question or answer period. It is not a political forum, nor is it a time for personal accusations and derogatory remarks to or about city personnel. If you would like to address the city council, please raise your hand to speak, state your name and address for the record, and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes per the Florida statute 286.0114. To ask a question via phone, dial *9 and wait to be recognized, then unmuted. If you are attending via webinar, there will be an on-screen option to ask a question during the public comment portion of the meeting. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. Is there anyone here in the audience?
I don't know if this is the time. Are you going to?
Yes, ma'am. We'll address it under that section.
Okay.
Is there someone else that raised their hand?
Well, I'm just recognizing that I was into the audience. I've never been to a city council meeting before, so I'm sorry.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming out. If not, is there anyone online? Okay, if not, then we will move forward. So I know some are fanning. I just want to make sure that we are making sure that our citizens are comfortable. Do we need to bump it a little bit? We good? Okay, very good. I'm gonna move to agenda item number E, which is approval of minutes. I think it's on. Approval of minutes, we have two sets of minutes, our regular council meeting for July 8th and our special council meeting for July 29th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval of both.
Second.
Move second. Call for discussion. Any discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hear none. Motion carries. We'll move to section F, which is presentations. Tonight, we have 3 that we will recognize awards for. In its order, we have the Florida Engineering Leadership Institute, class of 2025. And this presentation, it recognizes you for your outstanding contribution and selfless dedication to the betterment of our community. You have made a significant impact on the city of Chipley, August 2025. Is a representative here to receive that award?
Nicole's here. Nicole Eric.
Okay. Ms. Nicole? If you'll come up, council. We're gonna take a picture with you. We'll come down, Nicole. I'm sorry. While we're coming down, would you care to have any words about your?
So I was part of the Feely class of 2025, and our class project was to install a couple of the little libraries here in Chipley. So we installed one at Shivers and one at Gilmore Park. So they're full of STEM books and STEM activities. So if you know any people in the community that would benefit from this, please send them that way.
And can you kind of tell them how that process, so once they go and they check those books out, can they bring them back?
Yeah, it's almost like any other little library that you would see any other
STEM represents, just to make sure everyone is
Science,
clear.
technology, engineering, and math.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We have two here. Very good, thank
all
you.
very, very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure. The next presentation is for Southern Splash and Dash LLC, Mr. Mike and Hooks, and it's in recognition of your outstanding contribution and selfless dedication to the betterment of our community. And so we wanted to recognize you on this day for all that you continue to do here in our community, but specifically for the efforts of our 4th of July celebrations. As many who've lived here for years, we've had a few community gatherings for fireworks, but we haven't had it in some time. And so he stepped up to the plate. He fully funded it himself. And he just worked with the city and us to help make that be a memorable experience, not just for the people here. There's people that drive over from the region, because if you see some of the comments on Facebook, they express, are they having anything in Chipley this year? And they do come to sit. I've seen them sit along Highway 90 just to watch the fireworks display. But thank you. Would you have any words, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to say thank y'all. I appreciate the opportunity y'all let me be able to do the fireworks show. I enjoy every bit of it. If you don't mind, can I let my family come on?
It takes a family effort here.
It does.
I cut you off. Were you finished with your speech?
Oh, well, yeah, I like to appreciate everybody that came or that looked at the fireworks show from a distance. And, we're gonna continue to try to do the best we can to make the fireworks show a lot better for a lot more people to come watch us. And, we're gonna try to keep the community safe as possible. We're gonna do our best, and I want to say appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more.
She's from the.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. The final presentation is presented to Project Downtown Chipley LLC, Miss Kristen Martin, of course, in recognition of her outstanding contribution and dedication to the betterment of our community. Miss Kristen, Mr. Blake, if you would come up and receive this award. Many know the third Thursday of the month, Thursday Night Lights, we always have something. She's always able, it's not every third Thursday, but it's periodically, and she's done an absolute amazing job with that. She's brought our community together. She's brought regionally people over to our community to be a part of our downtown area. So we just want to say thank you. Your labor of love is noticeable, and we appreciate all the hard work and all the things that you do to put in it to make it special. So thank you so much. Any words?
Just wanted everyone that helps out, even the businesses downtown that open up, where there's one of them in the audience now, M-Corp. Everyone supports it, everybody that comes out and participates. It is a labor of love, but I do enjoy doing it, and I am grateful to the city and council, mayor, Ms. Patty, everyone for helping. Even Chief, he pitches in and helps me out all the time, so I am super grateful that it has been as good of an event as it's been. It's growing. There's been some hiccups along the way with growth, as it usually is, but we're getting used to seeing it. And I think my favorite part is whenever someone mentions in town that, hey, are you guys doing that this Thursday? So it's very sweet, and it makes every bit of effort and every bit of cleanup that he helps me with after the event well worth it. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
There you go. We'll move to agenda item number G, which is the consent agenda. There are 7 items listed there on the consent agenda. I'll call them out by title. Resolution number 25-44, which is the Florida Department of Commerce CDBG DR Agreement number M0014 Amendment number 4. The second consent agenda item, Resolution number 25-45 FDEP SRF Clean Water State Revolving Fund. Number 3 is the fiscal year 2025-26 budget and trim schedule. Number 4, reappointment of Chipley Housing Authority Commissioner Linda Justice. Number 5, appointment of Recreation Advisory Committee member Rashida Patrick. Number 6, special event application, annual trunk or treat. And there's also a handout for that as well. And number 7 is special event application, art and craft show, Washington County Historic Society. Do I have a motion to take these as a whole?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion about any of the items? Hearing none, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move to the agenda items. The first agenda item is request for waiver of fines. And we also have Dr. Woods that's here, and of course, Attorney Jordan is online.
Mayor and council request waiver of fines, Dr. Thelma Wood property at 771 Pecan Street. On April 8, 2025, council voted to give Dr. Wood 90 days to get the property into compliance, then readdress the fines at that point, and to pause the foreclosure proceedings for 90 days. The property has been brought into compliance. The fines total $24,750, and the attorney fees through June 30th, 2025 are $1,298.35.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make the motion that we waive the fines on this, but not the attorney's fees.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Call for discussion. Any discussion? No discussion? Any discussion? If not, we're going to move forward with the vote. Dr. Woods? We're voting on this right now, that we remove the fines and that we will keep the attorney fees.
If that's your pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. All in favor by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. If we could make sure that we get with her on that portion of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? That's all for yours. You're welcome. The second agenda item is request for development order and certificate of appropriateness for 941 Main Street, Ronnie's Car Wash of Chipley.
Mayor and council request for development order and certificate of appropriateness for 941 Main Street, Ronnie's Car Wash at Chipley. We have Ms. Don Juan here tonight if you would like for her to review the case.
Yes, please.
With you.
Yes, please. Do we have any other representatives that's here with this entity? We do? Okay. Perfect.
Yes, they are requesting a development order and certificate of appropriateness for a new development. It did go through planning and zoning. It was approved. It was approved on July the 17th, 2025. They're proposing development to construct a 2,240 square foot automatic car wash with 25 vacuum stalls with access driveways from Main Street and one from 7th Street, with signage included. Are there any questions?
I have a couple. In looking at the map with the city, it shows that that particular property is listed as neighborhood commercial.
Yes.
How does this fall under it when that is not listed under the neighborhood commercial allowances?
We did, I forgot to mention also, we did have our Kimley Horn, our planning firm. They also reviewed it and discussed that with us, so it's been.
How does that go if it doesn't meet our current code?
It doesn't state that it isn't prohibited.
It's not prohibited, so it was allowed. It was an allowable use.
So based on what we've got in our list, it says small scale retail services, food and drug, beauty and barber, clothing and home goods, florists, antiques, gift shop, bookstores. Key point, a car wash is not listed as a permitted use under standard zoning interpretations. If a use is not listed, it's prohibited. Is that not right? Shouldn't it be listed if it's going to be
We looked
allowed?
at it like a service.
A service.
It's a
That's,
service.
to me, that's speculative.
That's exactly what we did. We provide a service.
But it's not listed in these areas. And that's going to be a high traffic pattern compared to some of these other things.
And
Because
they
if you're
did
talking
do it-
about 25 stalls
20.
in that, or 20 in that particular location, in an area that's already low,
Yes, they did a traffic study analysis. It's been reviewed through the planning firm as well. They had to meet up with DOT. They have to have approval through them.
it just, that,
And all of that was approved
Correct.
through the
Yes.
DOT.
it just doesn't make sense to me based on our current code, I guess.
And one thing, in the planning and zoning, I wasn't there, I was in an area that didn't have service, but I did get to watch it. Who was the one that calculated the flow rates?
That was Greg Campbell, that's our engineer.
Okay, and he said he didn't know if he figured it correctly,
He's on the phone if we need to, if he's to answer any technical.
because he said the air pressure was 35 PSI, I mean, the water pressure was 35 PSI on the hydrant across the street, and he said he didn't know if he computed it correctly. And in the current one, it's the same. So if he can't compute the PSI correctly, I don't get a warm fuzzy if he's computing stormwater drainage either. That's an area, we didn't have any rain in April, and there was still water in that area.
And 7th Street drainage is a continuous problem, and I don't think that
There are
drainage has
2
been
retention
rectified.
ponds on that property.
There are
as well.
two, but everybody knows it, it's a swamp over there, that's what it was.
One was completely clogged, but they came in the last 2 weeks and actually had done work on that.
Yeah, and we've got Gilbert Acres on the other side of 7th Street that we already have flooding. People have pumps in their yard to get the water out of the yard. So if that comes out of their, they've got 2 drainage ponds. If that water comes out of their drainage pond into our ditch, which way does it go, Guy?
Goes back west, you keep across 77.
So is that, it
Okay,
goes
so-
across 77?
So Gilbert Acres,
Under,
yeah, it goes, so Gilbert Acres drains which way?
some of that drains
North?
back, yeah, north, and
The rest,
but the rest comes out to, the armory across under the road.
so in other words, it drains to the west. So if they put something there that adds that much more water into the system and it backs up, we're gonna back up Gilbert Acres again. We're gonna put more water on them. And as Mrs. Lee said, you can't put water on people, it's compensable.
The engineer is online. Can he address some of the concerns that were brought out?
I also need to know what the flow rate is of that hydrant, because we can't operate.
He just texted, he said he's here, he'd like to speak if he could.
Yes, we are, he needs to unmute.
Tell him to
On
un-
the phone.
If he's online, he can unmute through there, and we should be
He
able
can
to.
probably hear what we're saying, right?
Yeah,
He
he
should.
can, yeah, he can hear, or should be able to. I'm just concerned with the drainage on 7th, because that's already a problem.
And that's way over my head, he'll talk about it, I could say the meeting I sat in on last week.
Sure.
Basically, no drainage right there, and what we're putting in is gonna create a path for a whole lot better drainage than was ever been there.
But not if our system can't take that much more.
I'm sure it can, I mean,
Well, for the PSI, apparently he made that up because he said he didn't know if he computed it correctly.
He didn't do that on purpose.
He said, I don't know if I've computed it correctly, I've never done it before, is what he said.
And I'm sure that there's things that you haven't done before, but at least he said that, yes, ma'am.
If you're not able to get him on through the system, can we get him on the phone just in
Yes.
general?
Yes, ma'am. How can I get him to talk to you? Can I put him on speaker?
On the
Yes, sir.
microphone.
You can.
On the
We
microphone.
can hold him to the
Come
microphone.
close.
All right, all right, you're on, you're talking to everybody.
Okay. Yeah, the stormwater ponds.
Put him to the
were
Can you-
microphone.
designed For a 100-year storm event.
I read that.
The pre-development stormwater, the water that was actually going to State Road 77, as it is now, was calculated. And the DOT, since we're discharging, our outfall structure is discharging in inlets, they limited our discharge on the pre-development of the allowable flow rate to a 5-year storm, which is very low. So those ponds were designed for a 100-year storm event. And you're going to get less water now than you are in pre-development with those ponds, the way it was calculated.
Not if those ponds stay
DOT
wet the whole
has-
time.
Has reviewed it, their drainage engineers have reviewed it, and they're pretty particular, and they approved it. But it is designed for a 100-year storm. It is popping off into the State Road 77 drainage system, but it's only discharging for pre-development on a 5-year storm event. So what it basically did is, on the 5 years, really limited what we could discharge into that drainage system.
Right, that's because we can't handle the water that's already coming off 7th Street and Gilbert Acres.
Well, I mean, they're limiting me to a 5-year storm event, so you're going to have less water going than you do now into that system. Because what's going there now, if you do the 100-year storm, run through all the storm events, it's going more than what's going to be going there once it's completed, because we're limiting it to a 5-year storm discharge in pre-development. So the allowable flow rate coming from those discharge structures are metered for not to exceed the flow rate for a 5-year storm event in the pre-development. So it's size for a 100-year storm.
I understand that. They also approved the one here for City Hall, and we flooded too, didn't we? So I understand what they do, and I also understand how they do it. I also know that is one wet piece of land. And you put a pond in a wet piece of land, you're gonna have a wet pond that's gonna hold water anyways.
That's correct. It is designed for a wet detention system because the groundwater is only like maybe 1 or 2 feet below the land surface.
Yeah, in April, we had no rain, and you still have water standing out there, so.
We're demucking the entire two acres.
But the 100-year storm event is that volume from that storm event
Yeah, I read
is
that.
captured in that pond above the groundwater table. That's the way the wet retention ponds are designed.
Yep, I saw
Also,
that.
I might add, these ponds are designed for a 100-year storm with a 1 foot of freeboard. That means the elevation of the stage of that pond, like the top of the pond for Pond A on Highway 77, is the top of the pond's 98. The maximum
Yeah.
stage was 97. So
Yeah, I
you
saw
have
that.
1 foot of extra protection there, or if you have a higher storm than 100 years.
Which we do. We've had a lot of storms lately.
How high is that property gonna have to be built up before construction begins? because my other concern is the neighbors on each side catching the overflow water that's gonna come over to their yard. Because in Chipley, I know several residents right now that are dealing with arguments between homeowners because their property is dumping water over into each other's property. And I know the house right next to that already had flooding issues with Sally.
So how much higher from the current elevation is this gonna be built?
From the curb.
From the
actually,
current
the
elevation? Right now, what's the current elevation of the property?
Let me pull up the drawing real quick.
It's low.
I know it is,
Lower
but
than
I wanna
sidewalk.
know how much higher they're gonna build it up, because Paul is sitting right up there, and I can't approve something that's gonna flood her out.
In the right of way, the state right of way.
It's higher.
Running into our property on the east side of the right of way of 77.
It's higher there on the right of way.
No, it's lower. Oh, yeah, it's higher. That's correct.
Then the property dips.
Now, do you see my
Yeah.
warm and fuzzy feeling that goes away?
Yeah, it's higher from the road, the edge of the pavement, to the top of that curb, it flows back toward our property. Now, it has a little curb there, it's not like a curb, I guess, it comes from an asphalt.
That's because they don't mill enough asphalt before they put it down. I've asked the question, what is the current elevation of the property now? And what will it be when you build it?
Okay, hold on just a second here. We're having to build it up about 2 or 3 feet higher.
So you're gonna build up something 3 feet higher than Paula sitting right out there, and she's not going to expect any water on her property? Her water's not gonna
It's
drain.
not higher at the property lines. It has to be basically at the property line and comes back to grade.
It's like,
But on both sides, it'll be higher than Paula's property because it turns into a bowl in the middle of the yard.
yep,
So if you build it up and it's got to be level, the properties on both sides are gonna see elevation next to them that's gonna cause erosion into their property, correct?
yep, water goes
No,
downhill.
no.
Not all of yours is gonna be
All that-
captured.
All that stormwater is going to inlets and piping, and it's piped to those ponds. It's got curbing also. We got
And on
curbing.
the other side of the other side of the curbing is what? A slope of grass, right?
Which means
Yeah.
water
Water
runs
runs
downhill.
downhill.
And concrete, the building, everything is collected. It's not run off onto any adjacent property. It's actually the curbs catch it, it runs down the curb to the inlets and goes into the ponds.
I've heard enough from him, thank you.
So there's nothing going off-site.
That's it.
Yep.
Craig,
I think everybody wants a car wash, I just don't think this is the place for it, is my, you just can't put that much
It doesn't
water.
sound like much is gonna be able to be built there, because anything that's built up,
It was a small,
unless, I'm not for certain about the engineering, how that can be engineered to do anything with that piece of property.
be a nice
It's a beautiful-
retention pond.
Piece of property, but in the middle of our going through our city. I don't know.
Well, I guess the question I would like to ask is, how do you feel about the engineer? That's,
I think he's complied with everything we've asked him to do. If we ever had any issues that he had to review and change,
He still hasn't answered the PSI question of the fire hydrant. I've asked it twice.
I can get him back on there. He'll answer that.
If these,
I mean,
there's a couple
anybody that
questions.
builds anything there, they're gonna need to do it. So, I mean, if you say no to one, you're gonna have to say no to all of them.
It's not a good place to put a commercial
And I
piece of
understand
property that
but if
also
they're
puts
meeting all the
water, uses water.
qualifications,
Right.
And they have an engineer with stormwater,
I get the communication,
approve
but we
that.
also have to look out for the
I mean-
people that live
Yep.
around that area.
And if you look at engineering, drive down 77 and look at the
I
dry
understand
pond.
what you're saying.
And one
but-
side and
but
the other,
that's all we
never
can go by
contains
is
water.
What the engineer has. I mean,
Am I understanding correctly, that, so the entire property is going to be surrounded by curbing, so the water's not going to go over the curb, it's going to drain into a drainage system?
But the curb is here.
I'm asking.
The curb is here,
I'm asking.
the ground is here. Are you gonna have a wall?
That's why we have all the pumping
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the piping that
Okay.
surrounds that to go to the.
I understand that. You have a wall. Where her water used to come off of her property is gonna hit a wall now.
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay.
built 18 of these things and we haven't flooded anybody.
Have you built in a swamp before?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Where?
In Pensacola,
What part, which one?
to West Pensacola, towards the Navy base.
Near Navy Federal, not that high.
No, Pensacola, yeah.
I,
It's in the middle of a swampland. I mean, we deem up the whole land.
Do you have a house next door?
There's a whole neighborhood next door. Yes, ma'am. Look, our intention is just to come in here and give something that the community wants, you know? We're not.
And we want it, trust me,
No, I
Aunt
know
Becky's gonna
everybody
kill
wants
me.
it. I've
Okay.
received hundreds of phone calls, well, not hundreds, I'm exaggerating, but several phone calls. I mean, everything we did in Mariana, we did above board. Wesley Griffin is doing our site, so, you know, he did the,
Don't mention that name.
you're not happy with anything I say, are you?
Sir, let's get back on track here. I think what would help, with this, because I'm not an engineer, but I think it would have been much better, to help us visualize and see. I mean, I know the planning and zoning spent some time on this project, and I'm not for certain, and I know our planner as well reviewed these plans as well, and gave it a good eye. But I think for us, some of the questions that need to be answered to help us better understand, you gotta answer the questions that we need. And it would have helped if the engineer was present to maybe point out some of this to kind of better help us visualize
I thought he did that
what it
last
did.
meeting. I thought that's
This
what
is the
last
first time
This
it's
is the
come
first time
across
we've
for
seen it.
us. Planning and zoning,
I didn't understand, we thought we were approved, or I thought we were approved at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
they give us a
approve
recommendation.
to send it to us.
And then we approve it.
And we've been back and forth on this, I know you guys are just doing your job, we've been back and forth on this for 6 months now,
I
you know,
know.
doing whatever.
Well, and you're right, we have to answer to those people sitting right there,
I get it,
okay?
yes, ma'am.
So, if you answer all my questions, I'm all good with the drainage, I'm good, the hydrant's flowing fine, we can put out a fire.
Yes, ma'am.
You're gonna put a noisy
It's not-
place,
it's not
I think,
noisy,
when was the closing time? It was like 7?
7 o'clock, but it's not noisy, and it will never be at full capacity, ever.
well, the one in Panama City is, tidal
Well,
water.
Panama City is 20
Yeah.
times as big as Chipley, but it will never be at full capacity.
Well, I'm just saying, we have to, the residents are the one, you know.
I guarantee you, if you allow us to put that car wash there, it's gonna be something you're gonna be proud of. We're gonna give back to Chipley, we're gonna give back to the community.
Can
And
we,
it's gonna be, the drainage will be better. I can assure you that. I've said it on those meetings. I know nothing about drainage. But I do know that right now you have none, and we're gonna give you some, you know.
2.
can you ask your engineer, I'm sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
we need answers to some of these questions. And I don't know how we hung up with him,
Yeah.
but, I don't know if he was looking at the plan or if he wanted to
I've
direct
already read
us
what he was
to
talking
which
about.
page he wants us to.
Can I get it back on here?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
I think
don't,
you need to let the
I will,
people
but I
speak
wanna go
too.
ahead and bring closure to this. You need to get him back on the phone so that these questions, cause that still needs to be addressed. We don't wanna just hang up out of frustration. We need answers.
We won't give them to
So-
you, that's why I said I've had enough of them.
Hey, Greg,
If we could
can you-
just give him a
Last
chance to
question,
talk.
I need you to talk. Can you do that, please? All right, you're live.
Okay.
I'm trying to hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Tell me about the fire hydrant, the flow rate.
The fire hydrant, typically, the fire hydrant is measured by the water company, typically. It's a gauge, it's gauged. Cameron said she needed the calculations. So I made an attempt. I actually never done that before, so I looked online and apparently I didn't calculate it right.
Okay, and that's what you said at the last meeting,
Gauged.
but this
It
has not
needs to
changed.
be gauged. And the water department should have the flow rate on that.
Okay, but you didn't have it right when you presented it, and the same thing we have here is not correct.
Hey, turn the computer off, Greg.
Okay.
I think in order for us to better see a bigger picture, we gotta have the data.
Mr. Lane said that the fire chief normally would calculate that,
Right. Or he'll get the
get
PSI.
the information. to
I
the
mean, I
guys.
can understand the calculation. I never had to
That's the way we
calculate
did
it.
it,
I
yes.
always get it from the water.
But you didn't do it this time.
No, ma'am, but the fire chief was supposed to do that, yes, ma'am.
So,
Did you request it of our chief?
hold on, hold on.
I'm speaking out.
Hold on, this guy can't hear us, so he's still talking.
Okay.
I don't wanna interrupt him if he's trying to say
All right.
something. Is he finished?
Go ahead, Greg, can you
Yeah.
continue, please?
Okay, yeah, typically the water companies test that, that's where I get the information from, on all my projects, and I was asked by Tamara to calculate it, the fire chief wanted me to calculate it. I've never calculated it before. But I got online and tried to do some research and tried to calculate it, and obviously it's probably not correct. But the city of Chipley, their water department should have metered, where they actually put a meter on that fire hydrant and test the pressure. And based on the pressure, they get a flow rate. And that's the way it's always been done since I've been doing this for 30 years. So anyway, I would disregard that calculation. It needs to be tested on the fire hydrant. It needs to be gauged.
Okay, so that's good information to know, because if that's been the tradition or the trend, or it's noted that that's how it was supposed to be, then it really would have been really good initially on the application if we would have said we will need to see the fire chief to make those calculations instead of.
Or even after the planning and
Or
zoning,
after
when he
the
was
plan,
told
and
it was wrong.
get that, so that we could be assured that the flow rate is compatible, or is what we need. So that's a still question that we don't have an answer for.
And we can get an answer for you from fire chief.
But that should have been done before
I think
it came back.
the city of Chipley water people would have that.
Sure, they will get that. The second question, I think it was the elevation. I think that you were looking up the elevation, the current elevation, and what we would bring that to. I thought you said perhaps maybe 1 to 3
3 feet.
3 feet.
feet. But is that a given?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We had to raise the site up to be able to have everything drained to the retention ponds. So the actual building and the parking lot and all that had to be raised up so we could install inlets, piping, and curbing, and also get some volume, because like I said, it's going to be a wet retention pond. I think the elevation of the groundwater was like 134, and the pond's at 198. So above the groundwater table, we have about 4 foot of volume there, if you will, for volume for the 100-year storm event. Now, also, we have a discharge structures on these ponds that are discharged at a pre-development flow rate for a 5-year storm event. So whatever area is coming to that state road now, that area, that flow, on a 5-year storm, we're limiting the discharge from those structures into the state drainage system at a 5-year storm event in pre-development flow rate conditions. So I think the maximum, the flows are really discharging to that, those inlets are like maybe, I want to say they're less than 1 cubic feet per second on the maximum storm.
Yep.
On a 100-year storm, and that's not very much at all.
Okay, but that's fine for your property, but the property to the south of you drains to the north, slopes to the north. And so her drainage is gonna
That's
stop.
correct.
So what's gonna happen to her water?
That's correct. And on my calculations, what I had to do, there's a swell there that collects a portion of our property, the way it is now, and the adjacent south property owners' drainage goes into that swell, which goes into an inlet that basically then it goes into the pipe and the inlet system of the roadway. Now, when I did my calculations, I had to subtract, had to account for that offsite drainage coming to that swell, and had to subtract it out of my allowable flow rate. I know it's kind of hard to explain.
No, I understand
But
that.
I've taken that into account, and that swell is still over there. That property, the southern property, will drain, the north drainage to that will still go to that swell, it goes to the swell, and hits that drainage ditch. Now, on our property, we have curbing over there and inlets, that none of our property, north of, none of our property is going to go south to the property. It's going to hit those curves, and then it's going to hit the inlets and go into the pond. Now, like I said, the swell is still going to be there. It's just, it's still there for the drainage on the north. It's going to collect it. It's going to go into an inlet, and then go into the piping.
Okay, but that swale isn't shown on any plans, right? Because I didn't see
Yes,
it.
it is. It's on C3.
C 3.0.
Yes, ma'am.
C3.0.
So what I'm looking at with this plan here is it looks like both of the retention ponds are gonna butt up to the camp property. At the same time, one of them is gonna run alongside 77. In the event that growth happens and 77 goes to 4-lane, which don't tell me it can't because we see what's happened to the communities around us, where is that retention pond gonna be relocated at that time?
There won't be room.
There'll be no
Well,
room
that-
for
that
another
would have to
retention
be in
pond.
the- That would be in the DOT design, I'm sure. I mean, they would have to be taken care of when DOT, whoever
Because
their engineers are.
I know as a property owner for myself, I would not want to live in a home that had a retention pond on two sides of me. And praying that this well-learned water is going to run exactly where we told it to run, because I don't know of anything in nature that does exactly what you think it's going to do at all times. So I'm concerned for the camp property because we've basically designed these holding ponds to be right on her property. So she's going to be sitting on her front porch looking at two holding ponds that in Florida heat in the summer, she's going to be eroded by mosquitoes.
Well,
So that's my concern. I get the design and I get we want a car wash here, but at the same time, the car wash doesn't have someone living there.
It's like putting a square peg in a round hole where you're trying to put it. I want the car wash. It basically will kill
Yeah.
me at this point, okay? Everybody wants a car wash. I'm gonna have a monthly thing. If you can find a place to put it, I don't think that's the place. Especially right in the middle of, you're looking at historic houses across the street and then we're gonna put a car wash.
Any other questions for council?
Well, if we were to do this, and let's just say you did everything you were supposed to do, and it did float over into the yard, what kind of thing can you do to fix that? Would you be responsible at all, or would that be Department of Transportation, or would that be the city?
There's so many people that have approved it to this point to where I would imagine, I can't answer that question, I don't know.
Well, because you don't believe that it will only,
I don't think it will, no doubt in my mind. I don't think this many people would have signed off on it and let us get to this point, but if there was an inkling that it would do that.
but
And right now, you have nothing there. I mean, more than one person has told us that. And that is it's just a sponge and it's saturated with water. And what we're gonna give that piece of property is at least some sort of drainage that DOT has wanted, the engineers have told us to do. About $1 million worth, that's what I'm gonna spend.
I just think that probably would help the council better, is to better see, this design on this paper here is just a design, but it is approved design. But I think there's some still doubt of will the system really is compatible and will do what it says it's gonna do. And I don't know if there's anything the engineer can do to
confirm.
better visuals. even being out there on the parcel to kind of, to see what's what. I don't know, we probably never done that, but we probably could if we needed to. But I gotta feel some assurances that,
Well, I think you need to listen to the
Yeah.
people as well, though. They haven't had a chance to speak.
yeah, I have not, but I'm just saying, just to talk about the design work itself,
Mm-hmm.
that portion.
So, y'all set a big list of different things that go there, like the services and stuff like that.
You need to speak to the microphone so people online can hear you, sir, please.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, so we can know who we're talking to.
Jackson Penton.
And you're with Ronnie's Car Wash? Okay.
So y'all set a big list of different things that could go there, like this, we said ours is under services. So you're saying like pretty much nothing can go there, so why are those listed on there?
We're not saying nothing can go there. We're just saying with that size of a property, what you're trying to put in is limiting the water flow. So what I was reading was our current ordinance, what our ordinance states. I wasn't listing all the things that this council came up with. These are the things we'll allow and won't allow. That's what our current ordinance reads. So my concern is you've got a piece of property and we're basically using up every square inch of that piece of property. There's gonna be pretty much no grass other than the retention pond, correct? It's all gonna be concrete.
None of the grass. The whole back there, 2 acres.
Where?
Yeah, we got 50% is gonna be grass.
Less than that, it's 0.39%, so it's under.
We're at 0.4, I mean, so you got 0.6 of that.
So the back part of Seventh Street's gonna be grass, or whatever, it's gonna be open.
Okay?
The back part of Seventh Street
Right,
facing,
half that lot.
Was that for the boats? You listed in here boat storage,
Yeah, they shot that
They're
down
not.
6 months ago, yeah.
but it was still in the,
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
See, that's-
some of the stuff in
see-
here is not, apparently not still in place.
That's not my fault.
Well,
just saying.
not placing blame, we're just saying
Yeah.
what we're reading is one thing,
Yep.
and we're being told it's something different. So we can't make an educated decision if we don't
Exactly.
have the correct documentation.
And another question I had is, if you put anything there, you're gonna have to elevate it, right? So
Mhm.
anything that goes there is gonna run off, like you were saying.
Mhm.
So I didn't understand.
that's why
that.
there were
It kind of
pine
felt
trees
like
there.
y'all were trying to like put it just towards us, but anything that goes there.
Yeah,
Anything
I'm
that
just
puts
questioning the
water on
lot
people?
itself. Yeah, I'm not worried about
So,
the
but if
unit.
it puts water on people, shouldn't it just be labeled that nothing can go there instead of all those different things?
I think, I don't, listen, here's the bigger picture. We have an orders that we follow, and it's probably gonna be, challenging to find that perfect scenario for this parcel because of whatever the reasons.
Right.
Now, I do know that engineering, that's why we rely on studies. We have engineering go out and do reviews. They have ways of directing and making, hopefully, rain or water on that property to kind of channel it in the direction or the way we want it to. So that's that design work that I don't know how all that works, but it seems to work. If not, we've got millions of projects that we're working on right now. And we're not just doing it just to do it. We're doing it because based on the work that came back from the engineers saying this model will work for this piece of property. So that's all we have to work with, is hoping that everything perfectly works out in the way that it should. But I think we just need to be seeing what's actual too, so that we can better focus in on what we're voting on, actual. And then we can feel better about this whole thing. But still, we have citizens that are here perhaps that maybe want to speak to it. And so I do want to hear their concerns, if they would, to share what their concerns are. And I'm just going to ask right now, I know that Miss Paula Cunningham is here. Miss Paula, if you don't mind, if you will come to the podium and just give your address for the record. And there may be others in the audience that can come up as well.
I'm Paula Cunningham, and I live at 856 Chestnut Hill Street, but our family home is the one that's being discussed.
Right.
And that is 943 Main Street. And one of my concerns is I have a deed that says that our property line runs from east to west along the south boundary of their property, from 77 to 7th Street, and it's dated 8/1 of 1990. And our property, as you've mentioned, is very low, and it does flood during heavy rains. Hurricane Sally, the water was under our house. It went over Highway 77. Our floor in our house is buckled now because of it. I'm concerned, and they say it's not going to happen, but I'm concerned that it will be worse with this construction of the car wash. And the planned holding pond is going to be directly behind our house, according to what I can see. There's a property marker on our, what I think is our property, 25 feet from our house. And both my daughter and my sister live in the house. Their bedrooms are on the north side of the house. Carol's is north and east. The closest to this, they're closest to the planned car wash and the vacuum stalls. My daughter's disabled and in bed most of the time, and many days she has to sleep during the day because she can't sleep at night. My sister has dementia, and just the ordinary things confuse her and disturb her. And I can't imagine what this busyness of construction is going to do. And we have boundary issues like I was talking about. The surveyor, and his name was Chasen Johnson, I called him, and he says that there is some property lines that overlap, so that's concerning too. And I have never thought that property was not ours. In fact, my dad kept it up. I have mowed it even since those posts have been put in there. I've kept it up. When Hurricane Michael came, all the trees on that property that fell, we cleaned them up. And Ronnie's Car Wash says they have 18 locations in several states. They have 3 coming soon, they say. Well, we have 1 home, and we don't have any other opportunity to move. So I'm just concerned about our house.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
Hey there, Jennifer Corbett. So you guys know that I've talked about the drainage issues on 7th Street quite a while. I had sent an email to City Council and Patty and others back in September. I owned 747th Street, which is just north of this property. I sold that property earlier this year because of the drainage issues. I'm a contractor, I'm a developer. I love car washes.
Me too.
I do, but obviously I'm not an engineer, but one concern I do have is even if everything is properly draining on this site, you've got a change in your pervious and impervious, and everything around it is going to be impacted. You no longer have ground that is absorbing water like it was. You no longer have trees that were. There is negative drainage to 7th Street. Yes, Lord Deliverance Church floods, Grace and Glory floods. That 747th Street became a retention pond. When Hurricane Helene came through, I lost a sale on that one because I was going to build a house there, and that was the storm that kind of ended that, and I knew I had to sell at that point. So I won't even continue to talk about the drainage issues. I think the biggest thing for me is this is neighborhood commercial. The entire intent of neighborhood commercial is that you have a gradual transition from residential to commercial. And the reason you have the list of those types of businesses like beauty salons, barber shops, florists is because those are the type of businesses that can go in a home that was previously a residential property. That's why you see Innovations is in an old historic house as a bank. First Federal is in an old house as a bank. There's a florist there that is in a old home as a bank. Those are transitional properties. You don't see commercial properties, even if it's a service, like this. So bringing something like that not only brings higher traffic, but it completely changes the aesthetic of that entire neighborhood. I recently purchased 880 Main Street, which is just up the road. I am renovating it not for the purpose of it being a commercial building, but for it to save it as a historic residential home, because we're slowly losing those in our town. So this falls under in the future land use map and the corridor district. So section 44-162 and section 44-163 makes it clear how it can be used. I wanted to just read a couple of things. For historic neighborhood compatibility, the site is surrounded by historic residential properties, and the code specifically requires that development in or near historic areas must maintain visual compatibility in both scale and architectural design. Bright lighting, mechanical noise, constant vehicle flow from a 20-bay car wash are fundamentally incompatible with this zoning. It's incompatible with the residential and historic character of this area. Quite frankly, so I've gone before planning and zoning to build homes in the historic district, and I nearly got turned down to build a home with historic character. I cannot believe that planning and zoning passed this, if I'm being honest, based on what I've gone through as a developer.
There were no questions
The only
asked.
question was about the flow rate.
I mean, I have been given pure hell through that group just to put in a home with historic character. So I am shocked by this, to be honest. Approving this project under the current zoning would be inconsistent with the adopted land development regulations and the comprehensive plan for Chipley. Doing so could set a precedent that undermines the integrity of our zoning system and invites similar incompatible uses in other sensitive areas. If the applicant wishes to pursue this project, the proper path is rezoning to commercial, which I would not support. Respectfully, I request that this is denied as it's presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, sir, if you will state your name and address for the record.
He can up on stage. My name is Michael Tiller. I live at 887 Main Street. I've lived at 865 Main Street for 26 years until I joined the, 23 years until I joined the Army. And then when I came back in 2015, I've lived at 887 in my grandmother's old house. Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Sally were tremendously, everybody knows. Sally was a soup kitchen. The church flooded, my backyard was flooded. I've never seen water come in the backyard. His yard was flooded even though he wasn't there. I'm not trying to diss anything on this. It still has issues with water retention back. You can come behind my house and you can see, and that whole ditch line is full of water.
Yes.
And that's my biggest concern. I mean, I'm already dealing with traffic, been dealing with it all my life there, so I ain't worried about that. But the biggest thing I'm worried about is the water. Because, I mean, we already having issues where it's going. You can look over behind my house where the church is, and there's that drainage ditch that comes there. And I think that same drainage ditch runs right along y'all's property and then cuts off and goes that way by Gulf Power. That's the only reason why I'm up here, is because, I mean, water, I don't need any more water in my backyard. I can literally dig a hole, and I can't even get a foot, and I'm already in water. So, I just, that's my biggest concern. I can't say whether I want them to be here or whether I don't. I wouldn't like the calisthenics of it being a car wash. You got house, car wash. And then, again, my mom and dad's house is one of the first houses here at Chipley, you know. As she said, it was gradual residential, and then bam, you got a car wash, and then even the tattoo parlor, you know, it's
It's in a house.
in a house, and they kept it original.
Yep.
So, that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you,
If there's
Mr.
anything
Tiller.
else.
It's noted, your comments are noted.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience? If not, anything from you, Attorney Jordan, on this? What is the pleasure of the board? I mean, there's been a lot of discussions. I don't think we have a good, enough data here to even make a,
Well, I think you have the
Decision.
data, I don't think you have the,
but I just,
the people that want
Yeah.
it. And I think if we asked, if they had come with the data, the correct data, some of these questions that were already asked in the planning and zoning, then it wouldn't have been so back and forth, but, you know, you have to vote the way the people want it, and the people don't want it right there. I don't want it right there. I want a car wash, but I don't want it right there. I don't want it right in the middle of the historical part of town.
Well, we've heard three people speak.
yes, sir.
There's more that can speak.
Yes, sir. If you'll come up. If you'll state your name and address.
My name is Tate Berger. I live at 727th Street. I purchased the home in 2021, I believe it is. And I'm not going to lie, I was not fully aware of how the water flowed in the area. I just knew it was a beautiful home, it had been redone, and it fit our needs. It does not take a 5-year storm for me to experience a complete flooding in my front yard. The previous owners have put in an amazing drainage system, which will drain my yard in about 45 minutes, but it does not take 45 minutes of a downfall of rain deluge to flood my yard. You're going to be hard pressed to convince me that putting in even half of that property and concrete is not going to drastically impede the water flow off of my property. There's not an engineer in this world that's going to convince me of that. Okay?
Yeah,
I mean, like Mr. Tiller said, I do not have to dig very far to find water in my yard.
right.
And it does not take a 5-year storm, which is what I've heard so far that all these studies are based on, even a 100-year storm. It takes about a 27-minute rain. Okay? And that happens regularly, if you're familiar
Yes,
with
it
this
does.
area. Okay? I love growth in this town.
Yeah.
And I think that your business would be a great addition to this town. Just on the south end of town, we have a new grease program in, and it is aesthetically pleasing for that area, and it fits that area. I do not think that this car wash would be visually appealing for the area, and there's no way you're going to convince me that the water is not going to be an issue. You cannot convince me that it's not, in fact, going to be worse. And for that, I would be against this at this location.
Noted, sir. Thank you. I think we've heard, I'll give an opportunity for anyone else. If not, then we'll move forward in the decision. If we have a motion, I'll call for a motion. If there's no more discussion. Great. Is there a motion to approve? Hearing no motion, it dies for lack of a motion.
In the wrong place.
We'll move to our next agenda item. Agenda item number 3 is amendment to non-residential net ground lease with the Wolfpack Alliance LLC.
Mayor and council, this is the amendment to non-residential net ground lease for Wolfpack Alliance LLC. This will approve the amendment for Chipley Station to include a new legal description and survey that was done.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Moved second, any discussion, call for discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item number 4, bid number 2025-03.
Bid number 2025-03, Chipley Montgomery Building, Phase 2, Aris General Contractors Incorporated, change order number 2, and Mr. Brent Melvin with David H. Melvin Engineering is here.
And I bet you
Hello,
got some
Mr.
answers
Madden.
for us, don't you?
Very good.
You've got some answers for us, don't you?
Yes, yes, ma'am, hopefully so. So coming before you with the final change order for the Montgomery building, essentially I'll jump to the end and say this is to close out the remainder of the funds that are in the grant. We've been working with the contractor as well as Florida Commerce, so they have approved moving forward with this change order. And if you guys will bear with me, I know it's been a little while, but I was just gonna hand these out. This is the old exhibit, just wanted to kind of outline what we had in this final change order, and then, excuse me, what the next steps would be as far as the remainder of it. So what this change order is going to include is actually quite a bit of additional concrete work. This is going to be leveling the back area. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's going to be leveling out sort of the back area of the existing floor. The front tile area is going to be preserved, but kind of around where the vault starts and then towards the rear of it was pretty cracked up during the demolition project. So they'll basically do some leveling back there. In the front of the bank building where you walk out of the front entrance, there was an old planting bed that was there. And what we'd like to do and are planning to do would be to actually just fill that in and have that whole area out front be concrete, because you're going to have people congregating there. And the way that the original one was done, it just would be really hard for foot traffic to get around. So it sort of creates a little bit of a plaza area out front. In the rear of the building, we're actually going to pour new concrete as well to have kind of a, I'll call it a little patio area off of the back of it, and then redo where the dumpster, the old dumpster bump out is at, and actually take that away and make it kind of a parallel parking space where if you did have a food truck or other tent or something like that, it would make it easier for somebody to set up in there. And I don't currently have that sketched out on this map, but it's sort of in the back where they had the food truck and whatnot. So that actually constitutes probably a majority of the work that's going to go in there, but included in that as well is going to be sandblasting and repainting and stabilizing the vault doors. So those will be cleaned up and dressed up. Sandblasting and repainting the column and remounting it where it was originally going as well. And then the tree wells were going to be installed in there also. So what I will note is the things that we did not have enough funds for were the shade structures and then the artificial turf in the rear. The issue with that artificial turf in the rear is either you've got to raise it up in order to have good drainage. We've been talking about that a lot, out of it, or
I can't believe you said that.
sorry, or we've got to, cut into the concrete slab and put the gravel underneath it. And so at this time, we wanted to get it where the space was usable, and at some point in the future, we could always come back and look at that again. But essentially what this is going to do is have the building and the structure all cleaned up. You'll have the new rear area, the new front area, and then re-leveling the floor out and cleaning up the vault space as well.
With the vault, when you sandblast that, are you going to make where the door cannot be opened, or that it's stable,
We're
they
going to
can
have
look into
a
it?
locking structure and going to coordinate with the guy on that, where basically it would be pinned in place open, or it would be locked closed, so that it's not just going to be open all the time.
I mean, I wouldn't mind where you could get, you could see in there, just so people can see what it
Yeah,
looks
'cause
like.
they wanna look-
Right, I just don't want to leave it open, because we all know what would end up in there.
Right, yeah, and really the thought would be is if you are hosting an event or something in there, that's great.
Right.
Back room kind of
Sure.
space where you can pull things out.
Right.
So,
Yeah, storage.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be part of it as well.
If we were to, this is just a general question, you may have, let me know, if we identified this as a park, this area is a park, would we then be able to go after FERDAP money to do the AstroTurf and the shade things and things like that, but we would have to designate it as an actual park to be able to do that, correct?
Yes, we would be able, if we were able to do that, yes. However, with the items that need to be purchased, which are going to be tables, the landscaping trees.
Right. Well, the trees are actually, the trees are all
Trees are there.
included.
Trees
Yes,
are there.
yeah. It would basically just the bench structures that were there.
Striping of the parking area.
Yes, yeah, restriping of the parking area out front.
They're minimal items, and, you know, the city did have money, due to the ARPA funding having to be spent by the end of
Right.
last year, or obligated. We did have, due to amending the budget with salaries, some additional funds there that we could look at trying to order those items prior to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Sure. That works.
If that's the direction the council wants to go.
I'm fine with that.
And
Yeah,
that way
I would
we
just
can
like to finish
try
the project.
Yes.
Because, you know, Florida Commerce is expecting it to be a completed project before we close out, based on our discussions with them.
Right.
So we could go ahead and order those items and have all of that with Public Works assistance installed and, ready at this, you know, maybe not at the same time, but within a reasonable amount of time after the contractor finishes this work, to where we could still, have plenty of time to close the project out.
Was that something you need in the form of a motion?
Well, we'll actually
Okay.
get everything together and the costs associated with it, and then we'll bring it to council.
Perfect.
Yep. Any other questions for Mr. Melvin? If not, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
hard work on this.
Gotcha, yes, ma'am.
We
Thank you.
can see some light
Light
for
at the
real.
end of the tunnel.
Yes.
It is,
yes.
yeah, it is
After
very
25
close to
years.
getting there. Just as a quick update, they are, one of the things they were waiting on was, they ended up switching out the wrapping around those, the archways and whatnot, to actually be all aluminum wrapping, so that took a little bit longer than what they were originally gonna be fabricating. There wasn't any cost change for them to actually do that, so that's what they're working on now, and they'll get rolling on this. So I think all I need would be the council to approve the change order.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved second. Any further discussion?
Just a
If-
question, do we have a timeline of completion?
Yes, so they did request an additional 90 days for the completion of that work. And if I'm doing my quick math here, that would basically be right before Halloween, I think.
Perfect.
So, and they anticipated it would be sooner than that. Again, I won't say the H word, but you know, you're working around the weather this time of year
Sure.
too. So we would be hopeful it would really be within 45 to 60 days, but just to make sure we have that time. to close.
Absolutely.
Also, that does not include a restroom. So
Right.
that's
Correct.
something that
We're
we will
still-
have to
yeah.
We'll have to look at. We've done a lot of discussions about the restrooms and different options, so.
Could that be something we add later?
We're gonna continue.
Come
looking
back
at
and-
that
okay.
see what we
Yeah.
can come up with.
Yes, yeah, I know Ms. Patty and Mr. Guy, we've met out there a couple different times, and we're still working on bringing some options to the council. Again, one of the challenges with that is, unfortunately, it seems like those types of restrooms are way more than you expect. Of course, they want stainless steel toilets and all that kind of stuff. And then also having something that fits in with the aesthetic that's there, because, you know, I know it's one thing to have a CMU wall restroom you see out at a park, but obviously you would want something that would match with the building and the rest of the ones down there, so.
Very good. Thank you. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 5, Chipley Library Expansion Project update. We have Ms. Renee Roundtree.
Hey, so as I'm sure you're well aware, grant projects take a really long time.
Yes.
So we applied, of course, for our grant, back in October of 2023. We were awarded it in February of '24. It took us 6 to 8 months to get the grant agreement from Florida Commerce. And we are right now at 100% completion on construction documents. I have samples, and you should have in your packet kind of the general idea of what everything is going to look like. We're going to color match and kind of realistically, if you've done a really good job, then it's going to look like it was never expanded. So fingers crossed on that. We're going to try really hard on that. We're be headed out for bidding probably pretty soon, and we look to break ground in January of 2026 and be done by the end of 2026. So Melvin Engineering is our engineer and our grant administrator for the project. And so I just kind of wanted to give you an update. I periodically try to send Patty stuff so she's kind of aware of what's going on. But I wanted to let you know, and then if you had any questions or if you actually wanted to see the samples, I have them, and I'll wait until after the meeting for you.
Tell me the date, anticipated completion date.
11/30/2026. Actually, I have a copy of the schedule if you would like it.
And of course, the first question I'm gonna ask is about the drainage. I'm sorry, I worked in it too long not to.
Right. That's all right, Mr. Ray, I think here. So within that area, the original library is permitted underneath the existing stormwater pond that's back there.
Okay.
What I didn't get a chance to mention earlier, and probably is most relevant, is last week, we opened bids on the Griffin Road box culvert expansion. Those came in surprisingly well under what the budget was. So what that's gonna do is actually add a double 10x7 box culvert.
That's right.
to Griffin Road.
That's right.
Which will actually lower the 100-year flood elevation in this area about 0.7 of a foot.
That's
So
right.
that's gonna help as well. The library generally is out of the floodplain. Now, going back to Hurricane Sally, that was close to about a 1,000-year storm event. In addition, we kind of had the double whammy of Michael, which was a wind event clogging the outfall of Alligator Creek, as well as then you had the rainfall event with Hurricane Sally. But the addition of the library will have the flood panels will be installed on all the new openings that are there. And to bring this under a little bit is we're actually looking at the flood-proofing options and bringing that up at least, a foot or so. So obviously during Sally, which was a very unusual event, you had about 8 or 10 inches in the library. So based on the current models, we're going to actually lower that flood stage with the Griffin Road box culvert expansion, but then also look at the flood-proofing options for the current library to make sure that even when you do, because again, I'll be honest, no infrastructure in Florida is designed to withstand a hurricane, especially when you get 14 inches of rain, but you got to take due care in making sure that in those events, you have mitigation options.
And those flood panels were used, remind me, Tampa during that hurricane last year,
So
wasn't it?
the
And they worked
aquafence
fine?
in Tampa is old. These are actually ones that mount directly to the building.
Right.
So I can't remember the name of them now, but anyway.
But the
they're-
ones in Tampa held, right?
They
Yes,
did,
they
yes.
did.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah, my wife worked at TGH Tampa General that's there. Yeah, they had, I think, about 10 feet that was outside of those things.
Okay.
And so, but anyhow, all that being said, is that definitely is one of the, biggest challenges is all of the infrastructure that's here in that drainage basin, not just the library, but obviously City Hall, police and fire station, the Ag Center, and wastewater treatment plant are all susceptible to that. But thankfully, I think we'll be bringing back the bid recommendations at the next meeting for the Griffin Road box culvert, and that'll be underway hopefully here in the next 2 or 3 months. So by the time the expansion's completed, that project will be wrapped up and done.
We would prefer not to flood again.
No.
We really do. I do not like throwing away children's books.
Yeah, we
And
hope we
thank you,
don't.
that's
Yeah.
the way you
Yeah.
professionally present something. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank
If you ever want an update, just feel free. I send stuff to Patty. I'll try to keep you in the loop as much as possible.
We appreciate you and
Thanks.
all the things that you do for our community. I can tell you, I've been in the library and totally impressed with the setup and just everything that they have to offer for our youth here and adults.
And there are many libraries having to
Yeah.
close, and the
Yeah.
fact that we're expanding ours says a lot about our
Yeah,
community.
it really does. It speaks volumes to leadership, so
I
thank
got a
you.
proud mama.
Yes. The next agenda item is going to be code enforcement fines, number 6, 1214 Johnson Avenue.
Mayor and council, the property at 1214 Johnson Avenue, Chipley, Florida, is owned by Truist Bank through foreclosure. They are requesting for the code fines on the property to be paused while they evict the tenant. Excuse me. We are supposed to have someone here.
Yes, we do. We have someone here.
My name is Summer Hodges. I'm an attorney for Truist Bank. We finished foreclosure back in March, but this was a VA loan, so we had to convey it to VA, and then they rejected it because of the code issues. And so about a month ago, they deeded it back to Truist, but we have somebody in the property, and they referred it to my firm to complete evictions. We are working on that, but I just drove by on the way here, and there is still somebody in there, so we have to give the 90-day notice and do all that. So we're asking just to pause the code fines for like 6 months, so that we have time to clean the debris out of the yard and evict everybody. So I know there's some vehicles in the yard and things too, so we can't just remove that with the people in there.
Attorney Hodges, so you said your ask is to pause it, the fines per day for at least 6 months?
Yeah, just
in order
because we
for
have to
you.
give 90-day notice before we can finish out the eviction.
Okay.
What's your opinion of that?
It's totally within the discretion of the council. They didn't join us in their foreclosure, that's why our lien survived that foreclosure.
The lien didn't survive the foreclosure because the lien was after the foreclosure was filed. That's why it wasn't in the complaint. The complaint was in January and the lien was in April.
It showed up in my title search, but technically, we have not pursued foreclosure on our lien.
This in an effort to clean that parcel up, or that property up in hopes of selling it. Yeah, I mean, I actually rode by there just to get a visual on it. Yeah, it's definitely the pleasure of the board. Any other questions for Attorney Hodges? Our attorney, do I have a motion for the board to approve the request?
I move that we pause for 90 days with a follow-up at that 90-day period.
A second.
Moved second, call for discussion. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Final agenda item, request waiver of fines, 777 West Boulevard.
Mayor and council, this property is under contract with over $40,000 in liens and $1,600 in attorney's fees and costs. The buyer is requiring the lien satisfaction at closing, but the sellers cannot financially make that happen. Buyer would like to request a waiver of the fines prior to closing, but if the council, Attorney Jordan, would you like to review this with the council?
I mean, the buyer's supposed to be present to make this request, okay. I don't lobby or advocate for
Okay.
individuals.
Thank you, Attorney Jordan. Yes, sir, if you will come to the podium and state your name and your name.
I'm Carl Schmidt,
Okay.
and I own multiple properties in Chipley right now. And I have a strange problem with this whole property anyway.
Okay.
One is what you really want removed. Two, there's more problems in that house than the trash.
Okay.
There's a hell of an electrical problem. It's a fire hazard waiting to happen. And the home inspection was just done, and it's embarrassment. In the attic, they have running wires just dangling there.
Who did I mean, the city doesn't do the home inspection, so what does that have to do with the
But
city?
The trash itself, I don't, know what you exactly want out of it, and that,
Who have you been working with on this?
the realtor. I don't even know why I'm here personally. I'm looking to buy the property, not,
I can explain to you what was brought to me by the agent.
Okay.
And that is that this property is being sold as a condition of final judgment of divorce. There are costs that have to be paid from one spouse to the other from the proceeds of this sale. And our lien is going to prohibit that party from being able to satisfy the debts that they owe. I don't want to put too much of their business out here, but it's not possible for him to comply with the court's order and satisfy our lien, but the property is just not that valuable. So there was a request from the seller's agent, but I'm from the buyer needs to be the one to come and approach the council because the seller is not in compliance and they're not going to bring this property into compliance. They're divorced and they're not going to take any action on this. So if the buyer wants any other way than requiring the seller to pay the lien off at the closing, then the buyer has to come and approach this council and ask for some kind of waiver. What I had discussed with the agent was holding a lien release in escrow with the title company where they would hold back our lien amount through the date of the closing in escrow from the seller's proceeds, and then you give the buyer 30 days, however long it needs to clean up. I don't know how long it's gonna take to clean that property up.
I would ask for 90 only because of the weather, et cetera, hurricanes, et cetera. So without going with any excuses,
Okay.
I would start immediately. And I own other properties in town, so it's not like,
So would your recommendation be to do the escrow account so that we do get the property in compliance? And then once the escrow is released, correct?
So that would be my recommendation, just as an assurance that the property is.
Property's cleaned up.
Because this is a homestead property, and historically, even though we get our code enforcement judgment against the husband and wife, historically, we have not foreclosed on people's homes.
Mhm.
It's just-
Right.
that's
We don't
just
want it.
a policy decision. So, but our lien, because it's against both parties, it has to be satisfied at the closing in order for the buyer to get good title.
and the comment I will make is the price is being sold at, they will cover the loan only. They don't have the $40,000 to sit
Right.
either. You know, and the question is, I'm still on contract. I didn't buy the property yet. If as an owner, if I end up owning it, I have no problem cleaning it up. And I have multiple properties in town, so I'm not gonna run anywhere.
So are you planning on renovating it and fixing it up, or
Yeah,
are you just gonna demolish it?
I'm renovating it.
Okay.
I'm going, and what I do with it, I'm not sure yet.
Right.
Whether I rent it, flip it, or do whatever.
Right.
But it will be up to par when I get rid of it.
I don't have a problem with that type of an insurance policy, just to make sure that.
But the only problem is, if they hold $40,000, they can't pay off the note. So it's a catch-22.
That I can't help them with.
Right. So if you
That-
choose to go with the attorney's suggestion of $40,000, they're not gonna be able to pay off the note. And, you know, I'm embarrassed of the people owning it, because this has been on for years. This is not something that just happened.
Well, it's also embarrassing that we ask somebody to do her job and then everybody comes to us and say, can you
Right.
get rid of the fines? It's
Oh.
becoming a monthly thing. So why do we even have a code enforcement officer at this point?
Absolutely.
Is my question.
I asked that question, is why didn't you, the DPW, et cetera, just come in and clean the place up and bill them? Add to the tax roll. But, as I said, I have no clue how this is gonna pay out, because if you're holding back $40,000, they're not gonna close. And I won't be the owner.
Then what happens?
You just sit there.
So until this afternoon, and I just got a text about this, I was driving to the meeting, when I got a text that let me know that the terms of the deal have changed
Oh.
since I spoke with the agents last. Because of the home inspection, I'm sure. So at the time that this was proposed, and I was discussing this with the agents, there was some equity available.
And now there's not.
And it sounds like there's none.
So you got it literally an hour before the meeting? If that long?
I mean, it's been one of those days.
Sure.
I didn't hear about this till yesterday.
Yeah. Any other questions for Mr. Smith
Yes.
in regards to this request?
Well, if he's wanting to fix it and be done with it.
Sure.
So give me best case scenario of what we can do to push this through so that it can be fixed up. Because if we deny it or say no, we're gonna be sitting in the same place we're at right now, and the
Right.
property's gonna continue to deteriorate.
So the problem is gonna be, I mean, even if you give him 90 days, that holding the lien release in escrow for more than 30 days is going to hold up the issuance of his title insurance policy. I don't know how long you're willing to let that hang out.
I have no idea. And because of the hurricanes and everything else coming, I have no clue what the weather's gonna be to clean it up or not. You know, I'll bring dumpsters in and backhoe in and clean it all up, but
And this is the same property that we had somebody call in a couple months ago, and they, you know, had a very aggressive plan, getting it cleaned up in 48 hours.
I remember.
That fell apart, and we never, you know,
Right.
negotiated further. It really is a council decision. Like I said, this is a property that, I mean, the fines have been accruing, but this is not a property that we generally would have considered for foreclosure anyway. So your chances of recovery were already not really there. If your end goal is just to get this property cleaned up, I would waive the fines at closing. And if he doesn't get it cleaned up within 90 days, start a new case.
Excluding the 1,600 in attorney's fees.
Attorney's fees need to be
Yeah.
paid.
Because
Yes,
that
so
needs to
that,
be paid.
they never waive attorney's fee costs, because
Right.
those are actual.
there's
Right,
nothing.
those are
anything
fees.
that's been- Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we waive the 40,000 in lien fees, but keep the 1,600 in attorney fees, with the lien being dissolved at closing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Call for discussion. Any discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I will get with the agents and get my invoice sent to the title
Okay.
company,
And the only thing that I've asked for is, you know, I'll try to do it in a short time, but I asked for 90 days only for the purpose of the wonderful hurricanes coming
And
through.
that will be 90 days from his closing date.
Right.
Sure.
That's if I close. That's a whole other issue.
Yeah,
Well-
that's why it's at closing.
Yeah,
The
that-
fees are only if it closes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We're hopeful that you can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Whew. Thank you all for your patience. There is some other business. We do have another obligation right after this council meeting at 7:30 at the fire department. We're doing a dedication ceremony there at 7:30 at our fire department. Outside of that, Attorney Jordan, do you have anything else? I think she's in deep thought. Councilman Blunt? No?
Nothing.
Okay.
Is the fire department thing has chairs set up? Somebody's just asked me that for people that might not can stand.
If they're not, we can bring some chairs so that they
They've
can,
got
we
some
can
in the
accommodate them.
Eating area.
Okay.
Yeah, we can bring them
We
out.
can
Okay.
accommodate, Mr. Russell.
I'm good.
And Mayor and Council,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure and notate that the fees, the attorney fees are reimbursing the city for the attorney fees that the city has already paid Attorney Jordan.
That
Right.
is correct.
Right.
That is correct. Okay, I think that's all we have. Attorney Jordan, do you have anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, very good. This meeting is adjourned.
Recording stop.